It's crazy. Like, black folks, we have enough issues with like others wanting to destroy us. You know what I'm saying? And it's so funny that even with this whole threat of others wanting to destroy us, our self preservation as a group doesn't kick in to the point that we decide, you know what? We need to start banding together. We need to start utilizing our group economics, our group politics, or our group economic power, our fiscal power, or our group voting power or political power. We need to start, you know what I'm saying, showing more solidarity in the streets when we see each other. We need to be more fuck, hey, how you doing, bro? How you doing, sis? You know what I'm saying? Regardless of what city, it's like, okay, we in Hollywood, all right? Negroes will come from other, and I like saying Negropeans, because it's the best description of them in my mind state, from my standpoint. We like that they come to LA and we be sitting on Hollywood Boulevard. Now, one, they'll go to the white guy next to us or the Asian guy next to us and shop with them. Or they'll do this. They'll go to the homeless dude with a sign and have a long-term conversation with the white guy with a sign and hand him some money. And then walk past us with an actual business, with actual product to sell, and not even want to do commerce with us. Now, if you see me on Hollywood Boulevard generally and you know some of the video I've posted, yeah, I mean that's after a moment of witnessing this shit again and again and again. And I'm like, dude, at what point in time do black people start thinking about self-preservation and stop thinking about accommodating every other fucking ethnic group? And I realize that it starts with me. The beginning of that is me. The beginning is that I have to start thinking about our self-preservation in relationship to me. I want to see my people go on. And I know that there's enough black people in this city, and it's not in this city, but in this country, who want the same thing on some level or another. And then I was watching this thing about the teacher of the year running for Congress. Now her platform, of course, she's running on a Democratic platform. She's running on a multicultural platform. So therefore, see, that's the thing that we don't really understand. When you join the Democratic or the Republican Party, we're running on either a multicultural platform, we're talking about the Democratic Party, which is forefronted by a European ethnic agenda. Or if you're a Republican, you are just fighting for or working towards promoting the European or white supremacist agenda, period. Which is being, packaged as the American agenda. America's agenda, when it's promoted by the Republican or Democratic or even fucking Green Party or any white established party, is to maintain white supremacy. And according to Rizza Islam's definition, you are a devil because you are participating in the maintenance of white supremacy. Black folks don't understand how insidious white supremacy is and how fucking covert it is and how indelible it is or how integrated it is into the American structure, the political structure, that it is ingrained and it's on a biological level, even more so that we don't even want to see it. And that's the thing about science. Black folks don't even want to understand that science is based upon observable phenomenon in nature. That's science. Science can be observed in phenomenon that occurs in the intrinsic aspects of nature. That's what makes it factual. That there is observable phenomenon in nature to support it. That's objective truth versus a subjective truth. And again, truth is determined by an individual perspective, and where that perspective is derived from, either facts or facts based upon evidence or ideals based upon belief. And most of us operate, especially within the black community, like I was watching this brother talking about, well, this is my opinion. I don't have any actual evidence to support my opinion, and therefore you can't argue with my opinion because it's my opinion. And that's why we like to come with opinions, because you can't argue with an opinion. Opinion is almost impossible to argue with. What you can argue with is facts. See, and you have to have someone who is not suffering from cognitive dissonance in relationship to accepting facts. And a large majority of black people are suffering from cognitive dissonance. The biological inability to access certain aspects of the brain in order to accept new information that contradicts that old information. It's a parataxic distortion. A transference. And I suffer from the parataxic distortion too, because certain things I don't want to say in certain arenas that, you know what I'm saying, or in certain venues where black people are, because I don't feel like they're going to fucking understand what the fuck I'm talking about. They're going to entirely reject it based upon their pseudo-epistemology and that cognitive dissonance or that or not even pseudo, that maladaptive psychology that stems from it. What? Maladaptive? What's that adaptation? Oh, you talking some science shit? Oh, you talking about we evolved from monkeys? Like having a conversation with Brian, my brother, and my mother about evolution. Brian studied biology in college, but will side with my mother on the evolutionary issue in relationship to where human beings evolved from. No, we didn't evolve from monkeys. Us and monkeys evolved from a common ancestor. One was bipedal, went the bipedal route, and there's a observable phenomenon in nature to support this. And one with the maintained the quadrupedic route, remain quadrupeds. That's why there's only a 5% differentiation between us genetically. Again, observable phenomenon in nature. These are the things that black people don't really want to have a conversation with, and we have to maintain some level of cognitive dissonance in relationship to it, because black people don't want to think about the idea that they evolved from monkeys. You didn't evolve from monkeys, you evolved from a single cell organism, motherfucker. That mammals evolved from, that you evolved from, that primates evolved from, that hominids evolved from, that you evolved from. That's a observable phenomenon in nature. You can see it. Your entire biological, all your medicine is based upon it. And I've had conversations with you can't really have conversations with black folks about science. Even the conscious community doesn't want to accept scientific information if it contradicts the cognitive dissonant fucking mythology that they hold so true to. Niggas is still loving Jesus. Niggas is still waiting for Jesus to come. You understand what I'm saying? And if you mention something about, don't talk about my Jesus. Wow. Y'all still seeing this mystery guy in the sky, not understanding it's a result of your own maladaptive psychology. Yahweh is a direct result of the human maladaptive psychology. Ill nature is a result of man's adaptive psychology in relationship to you seeing things upside right. Now, physics makes things upside down, the way in which it reflects off your fucking your eye, your lens. That shit should be upside down. All images should be upside down, but your brain, your adaptive psychology or neuropsychiatry tells you everything's upside right. It would be maladaptive to try to correct that. It would make it impossible for us to navigate through our environment, or more difficult to navigate through our environment. In relationship to maladaptive psychology and adaptive psychology, the Baal concept, or the matriarchal concept, is more of an adaptive psychological concept that is supported by more observable phenomenon in nature. It's still intersubjective. It's still based upon the human physiology. And see, explaining this shit is like, oh my God, it's a theory. Yes, it's a theory, but it's a theory based in actual observable phenomenon in nature. It's not based upon some imaginary shit that's going on in my head that I made up. It's supported by evidence in nature, in the human physiology. It's not just some shit that I just decided, oh, which comes from, you know what I'm saying, downward causal information. And see, that's what we're talking about, the imaginations of man. Both of them are just psychological realities, psychological adaptations. One is just more maladaptive, and one is more adaptive. Yeah, I sometimes I feel like, you know what I'm saying, like if I'm and it's things that I don't even want to go into, because then it makes me seem like, you know what I'm saying, I got these two definitions. It's this intuitional paranoia. Paranoid people are paranoid because they think people are out to get them, or possibly paranoid people are paranoid because people are actually out to get them. So in relationship to that, you know, I have this paranoia based upon intuition, or this paranoia based upon delusion. So that's where I'm at right now in relationship to how I feel in the streets. Like, I know that I'm being, you know what I'm saying, psychologically, non-locally targeted by Autolist. Now, that's a psychological construct.
I'll be back.
In which, yeah, where you at?
I'm gonna get water.
In which, white supremacy stems from. Because white supremacy is a maladaptive psychological structure, group psychological structure. And we can see its devastating effects on the planet, or in relationship to how other human beings, other ethnic groups perceive themselves in relationship to this concept of white supremacy. Asians are now affected by white supremacy, in which they are bleaching their skin. And that is at detriment to their physiology in relationship to having to use a external fucking goddamn chemical in order to make yourself comply with a standard of normalcy, in which your physiology does not comply with, because you produce a certain level of melanin that makes your skin darker, which is more adaptive to the actual environment to have melanin. That's why they ingest melatonin, because it makes you more psychologically fucking balanced to produce melatonin. These are observable phenomenon in nature. This ain't no motherfucking goddamn, this is not a belief system. This is a fact-based system. That's what differentiates a theory from theology. Theology is not based upon fact, it's based upon the imagination of men. It's an unauthentic or a pseudo-epistemology versus a pseudo-epistemology. See, and then you got to understand how genius is treated within our social structure. Genius is a threat to the social structure. That's why most savants, geniuses, whiz kids become burnouts by the time they reach adulthood. Unless they maintain the status quo. Look at Newton. Look at Einstein. They did not maintain the status quo. They operated outside of it. That's why their fucking innovations in science occurred outside of the status quo. They occurred outside of the academia. Newton's occurred while there was a fucking a plague or whatever fucking goddamn scare at fucking